So this is Massive, the world's largest cruiserweight, and you're watching and listening to Countdown City WrestleCast. I'm out.
What's up, heels and baby faces? Welcome to another episode of the Countdown City WrestleCast. I'm your host, JC, and I'm joined this week by Tommy.
Yo.
And Mike.
I'm Mike, and this is 2020. Let's just get through this last piece. Let's go.
Debbie, we're on the downside now.
Pull up, come home, finish strong.
But some good news, apparently Keeping Up with the Kardashians is going to be canceled. So apparently 2020 is getting something good. So
finally, to be honest,
yeah,
I didn't know that thing was still on the air, nor did I care because
I never watched it.
Yeah,
I watched part of the first season only because someone I knew watched it and were always talking to me about it. I was like, fine, I'll check it out, and that's why. So, yeah.
Okay, so you don't know, so that's good. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Our Twitter account, of course, at @CCG_WrestleCast, and subscribe here. 101 episodes now. We made it to 100. That was a fun episode to watch, to edit. It was a blast. Awesome. We could talk for a while. So, yeah. So, as you know, last week we talked about All In. Today we're going to recap that event. Had some downs, had some ups. Some ups that turned into downs. We'll get into that as well. So, and while I mentioned last week we're going to discuss the PWI 500, well, cards subject to change, right? An email came out. Vince McMahon supposedly letting him know we're not allowing his talent to use third-party business, and it's sort of quite the controversy. So we are going to discuss it here on the WrestleCast as well, and what this means for wrestling, and really, does he have a standing in it? So we'll start with All Out. This was I don't know. It wasn't the most outstanding AEW pay-per-view, I would say. A lot of good, some bad. I won't say we'll go through it match by match, but they did have one cinematic match and it kicked off the show. But Mike, go ahead. What do you want to say?
No. Was this their second under quarantine? There was one other, right?
There was Revolution. Yeah.
Wait.
It's not their first under quarantine, right?
No, I think wasn't Double or Nothing under quarantine?
Double or Nothing was under quarantine. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then of course you had Fyter Fest, which was a part of. Kind of split in two as part of basically Dynamite. So
right. But the actual pay-per-view, right?
Yeah, Double or Nothing.
Revolution was just before everything hit.
So that's right. Yeah. So it's all a joke mess. Yeah. Double, but this is the first time they've had fans back in the stands for it.
Yeah, I think I read it was 15%.
Yeah, it seemed like a Dynamite episode. A lot of people posted pictures from there. Alex Jabali, who last year wrestled Michael Nakazawa at Fyter Fest after CEO Gaming. He got some great pictures. He was there. Famous Supervan Izzy was there. She made the road trip up to Jacksonville for it as well. So a lot of social media presence. Yeah. And one fan that got a little overzealous trying to get a high five from Moxley and got tackled pretty damn quickly. So,
yeah, I saw that.
Poor guy. But a cinematic match to start. Tooth and nail match was confirmed after we had recorded last week.
Yeah.
And never thought I'd see the day wrestling would take place in the dentist office. And now suddenly the dentist office doesn't seem so bad anymore.
I mean, they had Isaac Yankem for years and they just never pulled that trigger. So
and wow. You know what? Damn what I was gonna say. It doesn't even matter.
I'm sorry.
That joke was way better than what anything I was gonna say. Never mind.
Sorry.
No, that's good because actually now I'm trying to picture a world where Kane didn't happen and Isaac Yankem is still around, to this day.
You said that. You said I never thought it would be in the dentist office, and my head quickly just went to has there ever? Yeah, Isaac Yankem, of course.
Yeah,
but it was never a mainstream match, I guess.
No, nothing.
No. So
I think they just showed him.
You know what I wish would have happened now? I wish we would have had IRS have a wrestling match in an IRS office. That would have been fantastic.
The one in Austin is pretty nice, yeah. So they could.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty funny.
Especially around tax time. All right.
Quick question. So, I guess I don't pay attention when they're talking about her, but Rebel is aligned with Britt Baker,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
But do they call her Reba on the show, or is that literally a mess up that they're always doing? What's her actual name in AEW?
Her actual name is Rebel, but they call her Reba because Britt never remembers her name.
Oh,
And
okay.
calls her Reba.
I guess
right.
I've never even met. Okay.
But because everyone is afraid of Britt, they call her Reba too. They'll cut because they said on commentary her name is Rebel, also known as Reba, because everyone's afraid of Britt Baker.
Yeah.
Like one time when they were interviewing like Tony Schiavone, who is like I guess Britt Baker's like favorite target or whatever, was interviewing her and they kept saying Reba, and I was like, we heard the name Rebel like 3 times already. Why are we still doing this? And that's apparently that's the rub there. Is that
I guess I had missed some of the beginning stuff, and that makes more sense.
Yeah, I think
Tom,
it's hilarious.
Yeah. Before this recording, you said Big Swole was growing on you. What was it about this match that like all of a sudden, Tommy, you're becoming a fan of hers? So.
Well, I was already like hunting the idea for before, but like something about how she's willing to be so animated and go along with this kind of stuff. I like anyone who takes themselves seriously, but not so serious that they can't do this kind of thing in wrestling. You know, it's fun. You know, and this is the kind of that's been building. You know, and I like these two. Britt Baker as a heel absolutely has grown on me to the point where this is the greatest gimmick ever. Ever since that whole corkboard thing where she accused Aubrey Edwards of always being around when she's injured, except for the time she said Aubrey was somewhere. And I was like, oh, wow, she crazy for real. So said broken knee. Aubrey was somewhere. I was like, oh, you for real crazy. Oh, you actually crazy. Okay, cool. But no, Big Swole is like, you know, well, okay. I gotta love her because she cosplays like every single time she wrestles. Like she does not like, you know, have regular gear, which I love. And the fact that she gets in Lance Archer's face, you know, it's a point in her favor. Can't lie, you know.
No fear, man. No fear.
No fear. I respect that.
It's also kind of nice for AEW to give the non-title, women not in the title picture, this kind of character development and allow them to kind of grow. Because a lot of times with women, you'll get like the tag team or get the main champion, and then you don't really get that next developed feud or something. So it's been kind of nice to see that build and be used.
That's look. That's why I've always defended Impact for years. Like all 3 of us have said, like no matter what went on with Impact, their women's division was always solid because they had that thing always going on. Like the whole Dark Universe B-movie era kind of thing. The beautiful people feuding with insert women's wrestler here. So
even just when it was down, the women's division carried Impact. Yeah. Straight up. I mean, it was main eventing shows too.
Anyone who doesn't think the women's division wasn't carrying Impact through those dark years absolutely wasn't paying attention because they were like the main thing to watch.
Yeah.
So.
Even when they were jumping from channel to channel, right? So
you stopped to watch a Gail Kim match, and I know just KC. So
it's like Gail Kim, what?
That's all I heard. Impact and Gail Kim. So. Young Bucks versus Jurassic Express. Nothing crazy stood out to me to this other than the Young Bucks taking this a little more seriously. Yeah. So it kind of, I don't know, foreshadowed something was in the air tonight. So
I think what we're seeing is finally like I see it going 2 ways. I see it as like the Elite finally being like either the ultimate heels and taking all the gold of their company, and like just being those arrogant kind of guys, or the reverse could happen. And they could try to climb to the top, but then still get beat down by everybody else, because either way, I don't see them like completely burying anybody. I don't think they were burying Jurassic Express. I think they were just like, I think the anger of everything they've been going through is like building up on them with Paige, Omega, Cody being beat up, all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Bucks are better naturally as heels just because they come across so cocky, whether it's intentional or not. So I think when AEW started, Cody, the Bucks, the Elite, they couldn't help but kind of be faces because they were kind of the guys behind starting the company,
Right.
So I think they were, naturally slated as faces, and I think they're finally starting. It's been over a year now, and I think they're starting to slide into more comfortable characters for them. Because we've mentioned it too a couple times the last couple weeks about. Omega starting to look a little more like the cleaner from New Japan and a little bit less like just, good guy Omega. So
Yeah. I think now they developed enough talent now where they can build on that. I mean, they became famous as heels. So yeah. So
and I think that's a good thing because they have when they started they like kind of had to be the superheroes of the company because they didn't really have anybody else. I mean, no disrespect to guys like Evil Uno or Stu Grayson because I love them as Super Smash Brothers and I knew who they were. And a lot of indie fans knew who they were, Chikara fans, but not a lot of other people knew who they were. They just like, who's the Dark Order? Who are these guys? Well, guys, or like the Hybrid 2, that kind of thing. So they kind of had to be the mainstay to be the superheroes. But now you guys got guys like John Moxley who can be the big superhero. You got Jurassic Express even who are getting a huge fan base going. Private Party, that kind of thing, and so now they can go back to their villain roles, and even if they don't fully take control of the main event scene, they can still be the bad guys whenever they're on screen. Yeah. And of course, you still have guys like FTR who I think are just so great as the bad guys right now.
They're amazing, dude.
They're so good at pissing people off. It's like how did WWE not use this more? I don't get it. I just don't get it. I really don't.
I think this is what happens when you have a team of writers, and it's just a little too corporate. It gets away from the wrestling. I think so.
And I think they said on Jericho's podcast that Vince just has that thing about being Southern, that he wants them to be either that stereotypical like Southern redneck. Or he just doesn't quite buy it as so.
But see, my thing is like, and I keep equating that back because Stone Cold was so popular. But to me, that's because Stone Cold said himself. That's just himself amped up to 11.
Right.
He's not doing a character. That's who he is. And so that's why Brody Lee said it didn't work for him because that's not who he is. This gimmick Brody Lee's got going now with the Godfather-esque Vince McMahon kind of imitator in a way, is him because for one, on Being the Elite, he's freaking hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I was like, I never knew this man was this funny because his comedic timing is fantastic. And then on screen, whether he's being super serious or super evil looking, he does it very well. And I was like, and that worked with the Wyatt family, but when he broke off on his own, why couldn't he make that work by himself? And like you said, the bad writing.
Yeah, bad writing, and they just don't let them be themselves,
Yeah.
So, now we'll get into like kind of the rocky part of the show.
Yeah.
First of all, the Casino Battle Royale was always a fun match, but I feel so horrible for Matt Sydal.
Yeah.
He's getting way too much hate online right now, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, it was a humid night. I think Moxley said that in an interview, which would explain the slip when he came in and went for the shooting star.
Yeah.
And though it could have been a lot worse. Like his head barely missed a turnbuckle. He could have landed on his head. But they covered it and ran with it.
Yeah.
And Tommy, has Lance Archer reached out to you yet and wondered why you didn't pick him for this match? And then he wins. I'm just curious.
Freaking stupid. Freaking stupid match. Freaking Lance. Wait the freaking. I will never hear the end of this.
Oh,
I know I was the only person people were thinking of when it happened. I will never hear the end of it.
Yes.
And so help me God if he wins the world title. So help me God. I'll have to move from Texas because I will never hear the end of this if he wins. I will have to move to like northern Alaska because I will never not escape that if I hit. Oh Lord!
He'll still hunt you down. So.
And I mean,
why Eddie Kingston? Why?
I was just gonna say that the two that we were kind of like, I think me and you picked Kingston and Tez picked Archer, right? Yeah.
Tez picked Archer,
and it was there at the end, and
and
there was a couple times I thought Kingston had it, and then they held on, and then it was good.
I will say this though, to AEW's credit, to me that seems like they want to push both of them into the main event scene, which is all anyone wanted for these two for years. Yeah. So good for them.
See where they run with it. Tommy, though, you did get a shits and giggle point for picking Billy Gunn as a surprise entry. And
I knew it.
And lo and behold, there he was, gets thrown out, and 5 minutes later, he's ringside again watching the rest of the show. Classic Billy Gunn.
And in Billy Gunn's defense, I think he's at the point in his career now where he's like, I don't really care anymore. It's like, I've done enough. So
yes.
I'm
He's like,
I'm
still
getting
a nice
paid. I'm having
paycheck, so I don't
fun.
care.
Take a few bumps. Get out of the ring. I'm good. So
But see, real quick before we go on, back to the Matt Sydal thing.
Mhm.
I feel bad for him because like you said, it was human and the rope probably rolled under his foot. Rob Van Dam, I remember a DVD I got of him a long time ago where he did the dives in ECW onto Bam Bam Bigelow. He talks about how that happens sometimes when the ropes just roll under your feet, and he said if that had happened when he did his dives, it could have been disastrous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like yeah, it looked bad, yeah, it sucked that it happened for him, but this is a guy who's hit that move 1,000 times before. If he missed
Yeah.
it once, that doesn't mean he's a bad wrestler and has lost his footing. That means he missed one night.
yeah.
It happens.
It's just
Yeah.
that the one night he does it, you're the Joker card in a Rumble
Yeah.
Battle Royale match
Yeah.
and a big pay-per-view, if you
I feel
miss it
bad.
at an indie show, okay, try it again, but I
Yeah.
mean, this is a big spot and
Yeah,
it
that
is
was
what
that
it
was the
is,
biggest part of it. But
Yeah. So
we've seen him live. We've seen him in a lot of different things, and it's just
yeah.
it sucks. But he'll get over. He'll be able to move on.
Hopefully this doesn't deter any plans they have for him in AEW and
Yeah, I
Oh,
doubt.
wow.
So now the other right after that we got the Broken Rules match was really a last man standing and started off good. Starts off at TIA Field. Sammy Guevara cannot drive a golf cart because all Matt Hardy does is like ole, and there he goes right
Yeah.
into the wall. So, but very scary moment. They go up on the scaffolds, and basically Matt completely misses the table, lands right on his head, and it looked ugly when it happened. Matt looked knocked out, and it got a little confusing here because you could tell he was out. Sammy's trying to cover as best he can, trying to work it.
Yeah.
And I think the refs made the smart decision to ask for the bell.
Yeah, that was Aubrey.
Yeah,
I think she did great.
yeah, did.
Yeah, she immediately realized she's like, no, he's out.
Yeah.
And
Who cares what the storyline is?
yeah,
Just end it, and then we'll cover that later, for his safety. And it got a little confusing because right after she did that, all of a sudden Matt snaps too and is like, okay, he's calling out Sammy, delete, Sammy's being led away. He looks legit pissed off. Which
Yeah.
I get it. You wanted to do so much more with this match. You're losing your time, but I understand why he's mad. But if the cameras are still rolling, try and stay a little bit of character. You won. Try and kind of celebrate it a bit. That's my thought on it. But they're leading him back into this to the amphitheater, and all of a sudden, the bell rings again. Sammy runs back out, and they just go right to the finish. Whereas you notice, pretty much Matt was getting all the offense. There wasn't a whole lot Sammy got.
Yeah.
And they get the final spot, the 10 count. Okay, Matt Hardy wins probably as planned, but there's a whole probably maybe 15, 20 minutes that they had planned in there that they had to cut. So now, post show, they took him to the hospital, or after the match, took him to the hospital as a precaution. He was cleared, no concussion. They said they gave him the concussion test, and maybe he had just gotten. They said knocked out, but no concussion. I'm not a doctor. I can't understand.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know what protocols they follow. But if they felt he was cleared, even though Matt Hardy's wife was just going apeshit online.
Yeah.
So
one of the few times I would say understandably for her.
Yeah, I agree.
She tweets a lot of stuff, burns a lot of bridges, but when she doesn't know what's going on and you see what you see on TV, I understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And pretty scary moment, but thankfully everybody is okay. Matt's okay. It could have been a lot worse. Let's be honest, it could have been a lot worse on national TV. So now, as far as him, they're getting a kosher protocol test. I mean, I don't know what their procedure is. I don't know how it's laid out. If they cleared him, they cleared him. Great, But I do give props to the commentators being a bit real about this too. When Sean Spears did the unprotected chair shot to Cody, yes, it was a rigged chair, but Jim Ross was on there commentating saying, hey, there's no place for this in wrestling anymore. Like he's being real about it. So they understand it's a show. They understand everybody knows it's a show. But you gotta protect people. Yeah.
To that point, a friend of mine once told me, he told me this years ago, he said, I never thought I'd get to a point where wrestling fans admit they know it's a show and just say we don't care anyway. and just enjoy it. It's like I think the fans, like, you know, and like a lot of commentators doing it now too, like you said with Jim Ross. Like, you know, yeah, we get it's a show, but that doesn't stop us.
Yeah. So, go ahead, Mike.
No, I don't know. I was gonna say, I honestly, I like I said earlier, I applaud Aubrey for trying to call the match. I don't think they should have restarted, regardless. The middle. Okay, so he got cleared by the hospital, like you said. Apparently, I mean, if the hospital cleared him, he cleared him. Like I said, we're not doctors, but they said that he, you know, the doc checked him in between the time, and you know, he looks knocked out at first, and then he starts coming to after they call the match. But even then, Sammy tries to pick him up, and he's like pulling Sammy's trunks off, and he can't stand. And like, I'm looking at that, and I'm like, there's no way he's not. So then they said supposedly in the little bit of time that they went back to the announcers that the doc went through protocol, and that just doesn't seem like enough time from that to when they said restart. In my opinion, not a doctor, but just it seemed really quick.
Yeah.
My thing is, was anything really gained from them going back to the finish? Does anybody? I mean, what are we talking about? We're talking about the spot and should have continued. The fact that they did it just to do the finish, I don't feel it done anything. In my opinion, they should have called the match. Like you said, you know, they could have had Sammy celebrate, and then storyline wise, if you know Matt was supposed to win, you do something like Sammy's real cocky and says, no, I'm not. I don't want to win like that. I want to really beat you up. You know what? I'm going to let you come back. Let's do the, you know, once he's cleared officially, let's do this one more time because I really want to beat you.
Or you could say, on Wednesday on Dynamite, Matt comes out and says, hey, I never got a 10 count. So let's do this again. And you have that match, you know, maybe a little changed a little differently, but you get that finish on Dynamite. And it could have been a great match on Dynamite. So, you know, where do you go from here? So
because on top of that, they also, to do the last spot, Matt has to climb the rigging stuff, and I mean, luckily nothing happened, but you know, we didn't know, and that could have been just as dangerous for him if all of a sudden his equilibrium's off. So I don't know. You know, in my opinion, they should have just stopped it and
gone from there.
Gone on the safe side.
But still a new company. They've only been around a year.
Yeah, I mean,
this is a learning experience. But I do give props to Tony Khan. After these shows, he does his press conferences. He answers the questions. He doesn't shy away from it, and that's, you know, he's very transparent about it, which I think is really good. So, you know, I think if he makes a mistake, he'll admit it, but he was very honest and forward-coming about it, and then allow people to form their own opinions. So, but if there's anybody that benefited from that clusterfuck of a sequence, it was the women, because Sheeta and Thunder Rosa, we knew the match was going to be great. But it, you know, if they were following a spectacular 15-20 minute match with that kind of a finish, you would have been wondering, okay, we have to follow that. Thankfully, everyone's okay from that previous match. I'm not, you know, knocking what happened, but now you're tasking Sheeta and Rosa to bring the crowd back up and forget the confusion we just saw, and they did a hell of a job. So I enjoyed.
It was.
So
Kushida, Thunder Rosa, you know. Like, you know, they had a couple of, I guess, spots that were, you know, I want to insult them because, you know, I'm not a wrestler, but like it's the two of them. They're world class athletes. I mean, to me, they're two kind of like what Alyssa Flash is. I don't know if she still calls herself this, but like future legend. I can see them both being future legends, like years down the road. We'll be talking about, you know, like legendary wrestlers like Sheeta and Thunder Rosa, because they put in that work. So, you know.
It was a great match. There were several points where I was convinced that Rosa, you know, Thunder Rosa was going to pull it off. Just a testament to their storytelling of the match. Like, I thought she had it a few times. I was like, yeah, come on. And then, you know, Sheeta either kicks out or escapes, and I'm just
still kind of legit shocked that she didn't walk out with the victory, man. It's like you like you said, I was so convinced.
Especially when she kicked out of that one move at 1, and then just looks over the crowd like, no, I'm still here, you know. So I feel like I want to see this as a trilogy. I feel like they're not done yet, you know. So
And then I don't know if y'all saw online, but Allison Kay from NWA Who you saw who Rosa beat for the belt in NWA was talking trash on her, like, "Oh, you embarrassed the company. Look what you did." And so that was
I kind of replied to one of her tweets on the WrestleCast Twitter, having a little fun with it. It's gotten a few likes, so
I assumed it was storyline. I mean, I don't know if they have personal beef. I assumed it was NWA.
I think it's a storyline because I think they were feuding right before all this COVID stuff hit. So their rematch would have happened already, probably, or would have been for their whatever the next pay per view was. But no, and hope and like we've been saying this whole time, I hope this is like a way they can do a working relationship with NWA. Maybe we could see Nick Aldis come in, which would be fantastic, and just do some fun stuff like that. I mean, to me, NWA and All Elite run differently enough to where you can tell which show is which, and it would still be fun to have wrestlers cross promotions. That'd be fun. Mm-hmm. So maybe we'll see more of this, especially with all the stuff still going on at the moment. And I think like we said, we think everyone's still willing to do more business right now. So hey,
this match alone though was great exposure for Thunder Rosa and NWA. We've known Thunder Rosa obviously for a while, and she's NWA Women's Champion. And prior to this, NWA really only had a weekly YouTube show. So them working with AEW, hopefully if this does continue and they'll be able to keep their name out there, people are going to look at this. Allison Kay, maybe this was storyline and she's trying to ride along with that. Like, hey, I'm also in the NWA. I want a shot at Rosa. And I replied, it's cute. She's trying to ride Thunder Rosa's coattails. I'm Team Thunder Rosa here, so I'm sorry. Yeah, you don't got a shot.
That'd be cool if AEW brought her in for a shot at Sheeta. And, and so they both have a shot, and maybe they both lose, and then that's part of their story. That'd be pretty cool.
I laugh because NWA had Rosa as a heel, and in the live chat for NWA's Power, I was always defending Thunder Rosa. I didn't care. I didn't care. I don't care how heelish she was being on screen. Could not care less. I was like, God, boo the heels every time Thunder Rosa beats up a face. Yes, Thunder Rosa. Yes, do it.
That was my personal match of the night, though. I don't think anything topped that the rest of the night. And I was looking for something to do it, but it tore the house down. It really did.
For me, it was tied. There was one other one we'll talk about in a second.
Okay.
That I thought was at the same level, but
yeah. Tina was celebrating the next match. We're the only one to pick against the Dark Order, and surprise, what are they doing with this? So
I wasn't expecting the Cabana kind of storyline so soon. I thought he would kind of succeed with them for a while, so that was kind of interesting.
I honestly think, to me, when that happened, what I thought of was it was designed that way, like to say, oh no, he's getting momentum now, he's getting some traction, good, and then all of a sudden it just drops back to where it was before. So it's. You know what it's like? There was back in ROH's early days, this was 04, 05. He was feuding with Homicide hardcore. They were having brawls every show, and he lost a majority of those matches. To the point they finally had a street fight where Cabana won. I think it was in Chicago, of course. But it's like one of those things where he just can't get out the blocks real good without taking another L. And I think, this may lead to him, either, they may do one of two things. He may try to leave AEW altogether. He may feud with the Dark Order over the TNT title, which I would personally enjoy, or something. But I think that was cool because, to me, if he takes the pin like he did, no one goes home looking really weak except for Cabana, but I think that was designed that way. Yeah. And of course, Brody Lee, it gives reason to Brody Lee to be pissed off. Not that he needs a reason to be pissed off.
He's always pissed off. Yeah. So
I think he's just probably being angry because Jason Silver generally exists. Why he's still in the Dark Order, I don't know, but he generally exists, so that pisses him off. I like that kind of finish to me. It's helpful for several stories to set up.
Yeah.
The Tag Team Championship. This was. It ended how we all expected. FTR
finally pulled the trigger. Sorry.
Finally did. Congrats to FTR. Omega and Paige's reign ends at 228 days. And the post-match promo, I was waiting for Omega's attack. I think Tez had predicted that last week. And of all things, he's using a TV tray table. I was like, I don't know if he meant to grab that, if he's going to hit him with it, if he's going to improvise it. And then he ends up just leaving all pissed off and makes an ultimatum, something to the Bucks. What that is, I don't know. Maybe we'll find out more on Wednesday. But first of all, the match itself, your thoughts on it, guys?
Yeah, for me, this is the match that I have tied with the women's match. I mean, these two teams. I mean, FTR is like you said earlier, just an amazing heel team, and they do old school heel things like they always talk about. They do them well, and then Omega and Paige just put together, but one of those teams that just they work really well together. And even though the storyline was like there were cracks, there were still a lot of times where they were just hitting tandem moves through the main part of the match and really going. So to me, this match also tore the house down for me. Just awesome all the way across.
Go ahead, Tommy.
I was gonna say, like, for me, it's a lot like Mike said. I think these two guys are just one of the most underappreciated tag teams. Well, by company, not the fans really. I think the fans saw how great they were. Well, and even half the company, because NXT treated them right. WWE not so much. But it's great to see them get that kind of exposure and show what they can do. Because, and it's like I tell everyone all the time, there's nothing wrong with different styles of wrestling and wrestling. Like, these guys are very old school. They use essentially a spike pile driver. They still use the Goodnight Express now. They used to call it the Shadow Machine. I don't mind that. It's cool they still do that kind of stuff. It's cool they're very old school with their ways, And I mean, they're aligned with Tully Blanchard now. Come on, that's like one of the greatest tag teams of all time, tag team guys of all time. And this kind of match where they were going against pretty much contrasting styles in Omega and Paige in their own ways, it made it flow really well. Like Mike said, this is I would definitely give this the tie for match of the night with the Shida Rosa match. It's cool. It's cool because another thing I like about it is people are still on AEW for pushing ex-WWE guys. It's like, well, they're not pushing X-Pac. I mean, they're just
I don't
actual legit good guys. So.
I don't really look at it as they're not pushing ex-WWE guys.
Well, I don't either. That's just what everybody says.
They're let's be honest, they're pushing the guys that have worked for it and deserved it, and I think got overlooked in WWE.
By the way, let me just make sure I'm clear about that.
So, I mean, the Revival deserved a way better showing in WWE than they got.
Yeah.
The only reason they got the titles on there is because WWE was trying to keep them around longer, so they wouldn't just stop asking for the release, which they did eventually get. Ended up in AEW.
Yeah.
And they're going to be in a stronger tag team division. Which, by the way, I happen to enjoy the fact that they're, at least on the surface, breaking up Omega and Paige, because I like the tag teams. Like AOP has been released from WWE. In 90 days, they're going to be in AEW. Let's face it, that's like the prime spot for tag teams right now.
Yeah.
They're real serious about the division, so I'm really enjoying seeing that, like guys that are legit tag teams. So, but yeah, it's everyone's Moxley, former WWE guy. No, Moxley was around long before WWE did.
This is true. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And Brody Lee.
Yeah, Dean Ambrose was the WWE guy,
and
Luke
Harper.
and Luke Harper. So they were kind of suppressed by what not Becky Lynch, the Machine. The Machine of WWE was
holding back.
Yeah, right.
I was gonna say Becky Lynch was holding back Ambrose and Harper. Jeez,
the man wanted Seth Rollins to get over more than Dean Ambrose. Maybe
he's the modern day Shawn Michaels and Hogan. Such a power.
No, the Machine of WWE was kind of holding them back, and it's a little corporate over there. You get to a company that it's about the wrestling. I mentioned it last week. Moxley being number one in PWI. They're celebrating that on the show. They're making it about wrestling, And WWE doesn't even acknowledge PWI unless they're crediting them in a picture in a documentary on the network or something like that. So, for them to say these are WWE guys that they're using to rehash, no, this isn't what Impact did.
Yeah, and honestly, and also where it's different is they don't come in with the exact same gimmick. Like Like Brody Lee could not be more different from Luke Harper if he tried.
Yeah.
And it's funny you mentioned Impact too, because I think of it, and because they did get a lot of crap when they really started bringing in, but I think of it more when Christian went over there. Christian went to Impact to basically become a main eventer because he couldn't break the main event scene in WWE. He became a main eventer in Impact or TNA at the time, and then went back and then was pretty much a main event for the main eventer at the end of his WWE career.
Yeah.
Ambrose was kind of a main event. They gave him the title run, but I felt like they never really believed in him completely in WWE to make it long term. You talked about FTR. They just didn't get them in WWE for some reason. Luke Harper, they gave him an IC run, but not very long. And it's like these guys are showing what they can do and be legit main eventers.
I mean, we were at WrestleMania 32.
Yeah.
I remember being pissed off that
the Brock match,
for all the Brock and Ambrose match, all the build up on it's like, okay, let's see if Brock is earning that millions of dollars here.
Got a chainsaw from Terry Funk and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
And I could tell when that match was going on, Lesnar's getting on offense, Ambrose is getting shit. I'm thinking they're just using this match to bury Ambrose. Lesnar doesn't want to take shit. And it sucks because I think Ambrose was pretty excited about it. He confirmed that later, on a Steve Austin podcast, and then of course podcast later. So,
I think
agree.
it also speaks to AEW's credit how they let the guys who win these belts do it over them. Like how Brody Lee essentially squashed Cody to win the TNT Championship, and how while FTR and Omega and Page was a great match, it was still they were the team they were losing to, to continue that storyline, but they could have done that with any team and lost the tag belts, but they lost them in a really good match against those guys.
Yeah. Now, as far as the storyline here, Omega making ultimatum with the Bucks, how do you think that'll play out on Wednesday?
I'm wondering if Omega will show up on Wednesday or wait or drag this out longer.
Yeah,
okay,
that's
I'm
true.
wondering. I'm very curious because I remember when Omega debuted as the cleaner for Bullet Club, like with his whole Cobra gimmick from the Stallone movie, not G.I. Joe. So I always have to make that clarification whenever I talk about it. And it's like it wasn't expected because when he signed with New Japan, that like the month before, it was the month before, I remember this specifically, he said expressly he wasn't joining Bullet Club. That was the one concern in everybody's mind. And he said he swore in that interview, I am not joining Bullet Club. The day he debuted, he was Bullet Clubbed the freak out. I was like, you lying son of a bitch.
You should have known the minute he said it.
Yeah.
I should have, but it was a good swerve. I enjoyed it. But no, so I don't know I want to know if he'll drag this out because to me, Omega is one of the guys who always has the claim for one of the best wrestlers in the world. There are several guys who say they are. Only a handful can make the claim. Of course, everyone knows I know Okada is one, of course. But come on, Omega's got to be in like the top 10 or top 20 at least to make that.
Baron Corbin, right there.
Baron Corbin isn't even in my top 50. Anyway,
we'll see what happens with this.
He's not even in my PWI 500.
I think Dynamite this week is going to be very, very must-see TV in its own way.
Interesting fallout from everything.
It's going to be a big fallout and on the road to Full Gear, which they announced will be November 7th. So that's the next big pay-per-view, and they're sticking with it.
And real quick, can we again praise AEW for not having a pay-per-view every month? I mean, can we? I mean, I know it's a small thing, but my God, that's great that they don't do that. I'm just so happy that they're not doing that. I just want to give them props for actually spacing out their pay-per-views and saying we're not WWE, we're going to put these in certain places. I'm just happy.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that's been enjoyable too.
It's been enough years where that's. I think we need to get back to that a little bit more.
Yeah.
I was just going to try to segue and be like, let's see what the fallout from Jericho having to say from falling into a vat of emotion.
There we go. It played out as we expected,
I hope he walks out with still a drenched, like, just pants or something. I just want to see,
Yeah, well, first of all, wearing black pants so they wouldn't appear stained.
Yeah.
Two big-ass tanks of mimosa. Thank God nothing electrical got destroyed because that would have sucked for this kind of thing. And 3, Can you imagine if this had been done with live fans and the splash zone in the front row? Because those people ringside got drenched.
I don't think you could have kids at ringside then, could you?
I mean, if it was really a
Well-
mimosa, it looked like
well,
orange
okay,
Kool-Aid to
wait.
me. So.
Yeah, I know.
Well, wait, hold on. Yeah, how mimosa was that mimosa? Is my question. But first of all, I gotta think that if there was no COVID happening right now at all, and fans could still be allowed, there absolutely would be a lot of people who would have signed waivers to be that close to that ring.
Yeah.
There's no way they would. And but you know what? Honestly, they probably would have had it like toward the entrance ramp because all this is happening. They could have it right there. So and everyone who got drenched. I'm sorry, that made it funnier.
I mean, I think because this was originally supposed to be in Chicago, and if they had gone with the storyline into Chicago, I'm curious how they would have done that in that arena. So
Chicago fans would absolutely sign waivers to be that close.
Do they still sell Tang? Because that just looked like too big. Maybe they just bought all the.
Do they sell Tang anymore? I don't know.
Maybe they bought the last of the Tang in the world and used it for that. So it's one of those.
What it looks like.
Well,
yeah.
Well, it's Tony Khan. He's got the money to find it. So
it definitely wasn't Sunny Delight. We know that much. So that's a thicker. So good on Cassidy for winning this.
Yeah, that was just fun. I mean, it was a good match.
Wins the trilogy. So hopefully this elevates him. So.
You know what I say about matches like that? To me, it's like, they're wrestling and everything, but to me, that's one of those matches where it's like, you have a young guy up and coming who's just trying to make a name for himself. And you have Jericho who's like, I don't care. I'll fall into a vat of mimosa. He probably thinks to himself, I still beat Austin and The Rock in one night.
Yeah.
What could possibly happen?
I think that's just his ace in the hole for the rest of his career.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or for the better part of a year, we heard Paul Heyman the 1 and 21-1 for Lesnar too. So
What was it? Jericho had an interview with Eddie Kingston recently, and Eddie Kingston mentioned that, and he said how he heard an interview in Austin. Austin said, "Is he still talking about that? That was 20 years ago." And Eddie Kingston said, "Dude, if I were you, I'd still be talking about that."
It's one of those like big moments you always want to brag that you did. If anybody watches the challenge out there, Devin eliminated Johnny Bananas one season, and every episode after that for the next season, whatever. Oh yeah, and I beat Johnny Bananas elimination. He always talks about it whenever he's on TV. It's hilarious.
Man, look, everybody who's ever main evented WrestleMania, I don't know how they don't have that tattooed on them somewhere. Like that would absolutely be something I would tell literally everyone.
The Miz, I beat John Cena in the main event at WrestleMania.
And
the Miz has that,
You know what? I don't even get mad at him anymore because I was like, I absolutely get it when you bring that up. I completely get it. I'm not even mad at you, bro. Do it.
Yeah,
bring it up.
Same.
Yep. Now the main event, and I'll heads down thinking like the next day after we recorded, and actually while I was editing the last episode, and I was getting to the part we talked about this match, and I know I picked MJF to win, and I stuck with that, but I was thinking, you know what? I had to think back on the promo. Moxley says he's going to get creative. At some point, the ref is going to get knocked out, and it's going to cost MJF the match. He's going to hit a paradigm shift, and that is it. It didn't exactly play out that way, but it kind of was. The ref's back was turned, partially MJF's fault. Paradigm shift over, and
I like the joke I saw that I put in the group chat. He didn't hit the paradigm shift. He hit dirty deeds.
Exactly.
So that's
there you go. And you don't get real technical. I mean, he could have hit Death Rider, which is what he uses in New Japan, where he lifts them up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here we could have just done a regular one and said that wasn't a paradigm shift. That was a double underhook DDT.
Right.
Just that.
That was a Cactus Jack.
No. He could have did it. He could say it was the Cactus Jack DDT.
Exactly. I was just gonna say.
You used the paradigm shift. No, I didn't, sir. That was a Cactus Jack DDT. Did you notice how I did it? That was a Cactus Jack.
That would be a great excuse to have Mick Foley show up too.
Yeah.
I want to see Mick Foley do stuff all the time, so yeah, I'm good with that too.
Still, it was a good match. MJF full on All-American tights and everything. Better than you know it. All his glory. Finally takes a loss, and it is Moxley. And initially, Tina's disappointed. And then I look at her and think, Moxley versus Archer. Can you imagine the promos Moxley's going to have with Jake the Snake Roberts?
Yes.
And it was just like, I'm looking forward to it. So if this is, go ahead.
I was just thinking, I would say like, I'm more interested in this because of all their history in Japan with the U.S. title they would always feud over. But
Yeah.
What's ironic is even though they got to have a Texas death match at Wrestle Kingdom, which who else can say that? I think this might give them more leeway here because it's on their own home turf. Not to say that not knocking New Japan or how they book their company. It's their company, but now you got these two guys who are homegrown in an American company who get to have this match, pretty much it'll be the main event somewhere. I don't know where it'll be the main event though.
Is this something they ride all the way to Full Gear in November?
I don't see why they couldn't.
Okay.
I feel like I don't know they could, but I feel like it's going to be a Dynamite somewhere kind of at the midpoint from here to Full Gear.
Okay.
Kind of like not a full pay-per-view, but
like
kind
one of the special ones they do.
Yeah,
like
the
a special
special
Dynamite.
Maybe like a month from now. So
yeah.
If they do that, which I agree, it could happen. It'll be definitely one of the ones they promote heavily. Like it's like it'll be like like how they do like what they did Fight for the Fallen and Fighter Fest this past summer.
Exactly.
It'll be that kind of Dynamite.
Yeah,
like, hey,
definitely.
You can't miss this Dynamite. Big, huge Dynamite. Don't miss it. Blah blah blah.
But I almost wanted to go like if they put it on a Dynamite. Will they let it go to a draw and then do the actual? It must be a winner thing on a pay-per-view. I mean,
it wouldn't shock me because what didn't Pac and Moxley go that 1 hour time limit on a wasn't that a Dynamite or was that a pay-per-view?
I want to say that was a pay-per-view. I can't remember. It seems so long ago.
It does.
So
and it was probably just last year, and I can't remember. But either way, it's like I don't see why they can't. I think Cody beating Lance that one time was like, it never deterred him, and he's still destroying guys left and right. So they could use that momentum to carry it to that. He could hit like paradigm shift on him like 8 times, and Lance could still keep kicking out, and Lance could hit like the blackout and choke slams, and Moxley keeps kicking out and hit the hour time limit, and then maybe at something like Full Gear, it could be like no disqualification.
Yeah.
Now, as far as our picks for the show, I went 3-4, and everybody else went 4-3. Hey,
Hey.
And Tommy, of course, got 1 shits and giggles point for picking Billy Gunn to be a part of
Billy
the
Gunn.
Battle Royal. Yes. When in doubt, bet on Mr. Ass, the Ass Man. Yeah. Now our WrestleCast ratings: 0 to 5, 5 being WrestleMania 17, 0 being December to Dismember. Tez, of course, wasn't able to join us this week. But he did send in his rating, 3 out of 5. Said it was a B plus, just above a C plus. So pretty standard where I think a lot of us are kind of thinking about it as well. Yeah. I'm kind of on the lines where I'm a little higher, probably 3.75. I think since AEW's inception, this is probably their average pay-per-view, if you will. It hasn't been their best. I won't say, if I say it's their worst, I'm not saying it was a bad show just because they haven't had very many pay-per-views. But I think what hurt this a lot was, the Matt Hardy issue. Yes, Matt Sydal slipping on the shooting star. And obviously Rosa and Cheetah brought that up. And, the 8-man tag was great, but it kind of just felt like a time filler, So, but it was kind of cool to see that they were inventing storylines. But it just, and that's hard, obviously, without a full complement of fans. Maybe that's what makes it difficult. But still, I think it was a good show. I think it was worth the $50 that people paid for it. And again, these pay-per-views being spaced out makes it a little easier to drop the $50 to watch it as well. So, Mike, what's your rating on the show?
I'm actually gonna go a little bit higher than you guys. I'm gonna go than the one said. I'm gonna go 4.25.
Okay.
I mean the Matt Hardy thing notwithstanding, which does bring it down a bit. I liked all the other matches. The 8-man tag was fun, and we forgot to mention the Dustin Rhodes or the Dustin Rhodes interview afterwards when he was told that he got the he went full old 80s promo oh yeah man, that was great, brother and brother. It was just I don't know, it was just something kind of so yeah, to me, other than and the Seidel bump or the botch, if you will, it was unfortunate, but the rest of it was still fun, and I was into the Kingston Archer ending to it with Jake and the other person getting involved for Kingston. So
yeah.
it was one of the Lucha. No, Butcher.
Butcher. There we go.
That's
Yeah,
what it was,
yeah. Butcher was right
from
there.
that little group they're kind of forming.
Mhm.
So I mean, the 8-man tag match, like I said, had fun, and I really think the last, the women's match, the tag match, the mimosa match, and the final were just solid. So I mean, I'm good with it.
Okay. And Tommy, you're rating for the show?
I'll go 3.75 too. As like, I do think it was a good showing. I just think, I don't know. I get it's like to me it's like a takeover. When a takeover isn't as good as we like it, like I'm spoiled. I've gotten so spoiled with AEW. I really have. I'm sorry. It's like a takeover. I'm so spoiled at this point. It's not firing off so the whole time. Then it's like, that wasn't that great a show. When in actuality, it really wasn't that bad. It had one scary moment and like a couple of misfires, but because even the Matt Sydal thing wasn't like the worst thing I've ever seen on a show. It's like, his foot slipped. Yeah, it sucked when it happened. It sucked how it happened and all the conditions around it, but it really was the worst thing I've ever seen on any show. It's like, that blows. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it wasn't a Lesnar botch of a shooting star. That one was way worse, obviously.
God, every time I think about that. Dude.
Yeah. Overall rating 3.6875. Not too shabby, all out. And yeah, as all this stuff goes on, I just keep thinking, how would these shows have been different with a full slate of crowds, with them being in Chicago? And hopefully everything continues to get better as we get on with the rest of the year, and we get into Full Gear with a little bit more fans, a little bit more people singing Judas when Jericho comes out. So
yeah.
Now, as I mentioned at the top of the show, we had initially at this point would have discussed the PWI 500, and I guess it's a good thing we didn't talk about that, because we can go on for another hour talking about it and would be here forever. So we spent a good while talking about All Out, but we do want to discuss a recent email that Vince McMahon has supposedly sent out to all the WWE superstars. Yeah. So I'm trying to find the actual email here, but the basic gist of it is that Vince is no longer making it a policy, for whatever reason, that superstars are not allowed to be making money for themselves on third-party apps, i.e. Twitch, Cameo, whatever else there might be out there, OnlyFans, who knows, right? He claims, and this
What's
is the
that,
part.
JC?
Gee, if you don't know, Google it. Anyway.
Kids, don't Google it.
And now
Kids don't Google it. Kids don't Google it.
Make sure to get your parents
18 and over.
18 and over.
Well, look, I will say this. I know for a fact that neither Billy Kay or Peyton Royce have an OnlyFans, because Mike would have told us months ago if they did.
Wow. Don't call me on the show like that, even if it's true, bro.
Hey. It's fair. It's fair. Because if Trish Stratus had one, trust me, you would have already known. I would have told you.
Gotta be careful. Gotta protect my rep, yo.
The interesting thing about this is that this email was supposedly leaked. Dave Meltzer, I think, is the one that reported on it. He's gotten a bit of backlash from people like Miro, formerly Rusev, who, surprisingly, how is Lana still employed? I have no idea. With WWE. I'm still he's just doing that. So anyway, let me see. So the basic idea is that he's giving them until October 2nd to be off these apps. The one that really irked me is that he claims to own the real names of these superstars.
Yeah.
No, you don't. I'm sorry. You can't own someone's given birth name.
Yeah,
I don't see why anybody would sign that over in a contract. And it says everyone's facing fines, suspensions, terminations, etc. if they still have these apps available. And my thought is, are you really going to fire everybody that has it out there?
That's like most of your roster.
Yeah, like shortly before we recorded, I get an alert. AJ Styles is on Twitch. He's had this following for a while. You're really going to let him do that? I think of Xavier Woods. who goes by his name Austin Creed on his Up Up Down Down channel, and is making a big campaign to be a part of G4 when it relaunches. And I for one really hope he gets it because I think it'd be perfect for G4. So
Yeah.
But I think Up Up Down Down is affiliated with WWE, if I'm not mistaken, or they played a part in it. If I remember.
Towards the end, but I mean, it started on his own, you know.
Yeah.
And for them, you know, he's obviously they have a belt now. They allowed him to film it at least while they were there at backstage and everything like that. You know, pretty much the whole roster competes in a Madden tournament that always seems to come down to Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles in the championship, right?
Yeah, for real, it really does.
Yeah, so.
Like one time he posted a video, I thought it was a repeat from last year, and I forgot. Oh my god, it's a different video.
Now, obviously, he claims it's part of a rebranding strategy. It sparked a lot of outrage among fans, wrestlers, people from Mick Foley. God, I don't know, so many people some politicians have weighed in too. Like, hey, they're independent contractors. That's the big thing.
CM Punk outright said, "Guys, keep doing what you're doing. He can't fire everybody." So
yes, exactly. If anybody should know what it's like to win a lawsuit regarding contract stuff over WWE, it's CM Punk.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, in all fairness, though, I agree with him, but it's easy when you're CM Punk to say that, as opposed to someone who's may have some of the stuff at the bottom of the WWE roster.
True.
You know.
Well, article I did find. Let's look at this. So, of the people, we'll take Cameo for example. That seems to be the popular one.
Yeah.
Everyone knows what it is. You pay money, and someone can send a message to whoever you want, whether it's uplifting, anything you want them to ask. If we want to pay money, get someone to say, "Hey, you're listening to Kansas City WrestleCast." Maybe they'll do it. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
You're the most expensive WWE superstars on Cameo. Now, obviously, this might be updated because I think one person on there no longer has their Cameo. Number 10, Kevin Owens, $149 or $95 a minute. Billy Kay, who I believe shut her Cameo down, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry, Mike.
Mike's so defeated.
It's $150. Peyton Royce, I think she also shut hers down, $200. Her real name, Cassie McIntosh. Rey Mysterio was $250. Mandy Rose, $250. Sasha Banks, $375. Charlotte Flair, $380. Alexa Bliss, $399.
Tracy, how much blood did you have to sell for that one?
Still working on it. It's hard to sell Crohn's blood. I'm just throwing that out there. Anyway, and the most expensive one, and someone I don't think they would fire. Roman Reigns charges $500 for a cameo.
What?
Yes.
Dear God.
So
now he just insults you because he's a heel. That's even worse.
Yeah.
I don't guess who paid for that.
Now that being said, the top earners on Cameo, I'm not sure how they decided this. If it was over a month, a year, probably a year, I would assume. So, Kevin Owens got about 10 grand. Lacey Evans, 14 grand. Rey Mysterio, 15 grand. Sasha Banks, 16 grand. Roman Reigns, 18 grand. Cassie McIntosh, aka Peyton Royce, 21 grand. Mandy Rose, 22 grand. Big E, $62,000.
They talk about it on their podcast. He jokes. He's been joking for like months that he's a cameo artist and he just wrestles on the side now. So I didn't realize he was making that much. But they say like there's some days when they're at the show where he's just in a room for like 3 hours and you just hear him yelling out these different videos like, "Oh, hey, wishing a happy birthday," and doing his little stick. So I believe it. So no wonder he was a little upset this past Monday. It seemed like when he used his real name and he's like, "My real name is," I forgot how he pronounces it, but like, sometimes I wrestle with Big E.
You know, let's talk about this. Is it really detrimental to what WWE's trying to build in their brand, or is this Vince McMahon just trying to get a cut of the action?
Yes. I don't think we need to discuss it. Yes.
Yeah.
I absolutely don't believe it's the former, and 1,000% believe it's the latter. There's no way this is detrimental to them in any way, shape, or form. It's not like these guys aren't coming to work. It's not like these guys are not still putting themselves on the line, even with all this COVID crap going on. It's nothing about that. It's just that Vince wants his tribute, and it's like, and that's the only thing. It's just that he's just being a little baby about it. It's like they're making money without him, and he can't stand it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for anyone that says, well, they're being paid thousands of dollars and this and that, okay, but think about a job you might have. If you're being paid full time, you might, I don't know what your salary might be, but you get most of the time full health and benefits if you're a full time employee, 401k retirement, excuse me, you're building into retirement, your stuff gets taxed. For a company training, if you have to go somewhere, they're probably going to pay your flight and your hotel for that and for the training itself. In WWE, they don't pay for any health insurance. You don't have any sort of retirement benefit up. If you're paying, other than like a major pay-per-view, you're paying for your own flights, you're paying for your own hotel, you're paying for your own rental car to get from town to town as well. So if you're going to run with the whole independent contractor thing, why are you sending emails like this like they're full-time employees? And why are you not treating them that way?
Yeah, I mean,
back to that debate.
So. Yeah, no, I mean, not to make this too political, but it's not difficult. He's just an old school. I mean, I almost think of it like those '80s, business capitalist. Like he's finding, and I know it goes way beyond before that, but he's finding every way to make money. It's obviously, being called independent contractors, but being under contract and being held to this, it's a way for him to avoid all those other payments and all those other costs.
Yeah.
While still holding them to a certain contract. I mean, you could, I don't know, maybe there's someone out here who can try to defend that, but it seems pretty straightforward to me. So.
Yeah. That's really what it's about. And that's part of the reason AEW pushed so well and has become so popular. Because when you're hired at AEW, you are a full-time employee. They are providing benefits. They are, I don't know how the retirement plan might be. I would assume, Tony Khan owns the Jacksonville Jaguars, for crying out loud. It is kind of nice to have your home base at a football stadium you can use for something like Stadium Stampede, right?
Yeah.
But this is such a big debate that John Oliver brought up before WrestleMania last year. Yeah. So, and the debate rages on. Why don't wrestlers unionize? Well, you need a top guy to want to be on that. And obviously the top guys like in the past, like Hogan, Cena, they're in such a good position they don't need to. But if you're sitting there telling somebody who's making 10 to 62 grand a year off of this, you can't do it anymore. Well, are you going to compensate them for that? Like how this is part of their income. They have bills to pay that you're not providing for. If you're saying, well, they have a merch deal as well. Yeah, but it's kind of hard to build it up when they're not on TV all the time. And if they're a heel, that's going to kill your merch. Faces make more than a heel do.
So. They've always said too, as opposed to like pro wrestling tees, like they get pennies on the dollar for their tees. I mean, they get even when you're pushing out like Roman Reigns or John Cena levels of merch.
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like you have to be at that level for it to really make the impact that some of the this cameo type stuff is.
Yeah, it's people trying to make money, especially because you have how many people on your roster. Not all of them are getting TV time. Not all of them are getting the money they could be earning doing this stuff on the side. The one that sticks out the most to me is Zack Ryder. Wasn't getting TV time. Made a name for himself with a YouTube channel. So
WWE took it over.
Yeah. I don't think personally. I'm not a legal expert, but I don't really think if you're going to classify them as independent contractors, I don't think WWE has a leg to stand on here.
I feel like they shouldn't, but
yeah,
they've done it for this long, so
I mean, what can change that? Is it going to take an act of Congress to get the labor laws changed regarding this?
I mean,
yeah.
I again don't want to get too political, but the president is in the Hall of Fame, so I don't know if there's going to be.
That's a good point.
Just saying.
Well, not anytime in the next few months, and if it gets through like the next 4 years, right? So.
Well, and Vince's wife was on.
She still is.
Cabinet, right? In the cabinet.
Yeah, she still is. Yeah.
So I don't see the government stepping in anytime soon. At least the next couple months, like you said.
I mean, to me, what's really going to end up happening is like a lot of these guys are going to make a choice. The problem is Vince did this at the exact wrong time. There are too many options now.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're giving people options to go elsewhere.
The problem is, okay, let's be real. Not everyone is going to go to AEW, and not everyone should. One guy put on Twitter, and I agree with it. He said, like, I'm glad not everyone's to AEW, and I 100% agree with that. I am thrilled Eric Young went to back to Impact, because to me that's where he belonged all along. Impact is just Eric Young's home territory. I'm glad that he is there right now. I'm glad the Good Brothers are there too, because they're helping build it up. They got their 2-year deal. In 2 years, who knows what could happen with Impact? They could be back to the number 2 spot again of wrestling. I'm not saying they'll beat AEW or nothing like that. I'm saying that they could get there. And that's not knocking AEW. It's not knocking WWE. It's just that they could form a roster again that could be that big. The problem is like that, yeah, these guys could take a pay cut if they lead WWE, but will they? If they can do all this on Cameo, if they can do all this on Twitch, will they take a pay cut? I can't see it now, because if you're giving them this option to where they could either work somewhere with a lighter schedule where they'll be treated with more respect and get to keep all this stuff
and have full benefits
or even like if they just go to like somewhere like Ring of Honor where they'll be treated like top talent because they'll help build up top talent. They can go to Impact where they'll be, a lot of guys will just feud with Eric Young right away, which a lot of them probably wanted to begin with.
Or New Japan of America. Let's be honest here. That's on its way up.
Well, and here's another thing, because when we mentioned AOP earlier that they could be there, somebody on one of the wrestling groups I'm part of asked, should AOP go to New Japan instead? And someone else brought up they should probably go to All Japan Pro Wrestling because they have some of the bigger like heavier like big men wrestlers. And I said that actually probably be a great fit for them would be actually All Japan, probably better. And you know what? Because of New Japan's success, a lot of other Japanese companies are doing that. Noah and DDT formed like a partnership together, and they're bringing in a lot of like gaijin talent. They have Chris Brooks, who's the DDT Universal Champion. He's from England, I think, and they could bring in guys who want to get out, who want to leave and go there, who could build up either DDT or Noah. New Japan, of course, or they could go to Dragon Gate in All Japan. Because these guys, they're not broke. I mean, they're not, out of money. I mean, like, yeah, they could. Of course, no one can pay them what WWE can pay. Unless you're AEW, they can't pay that. We're being honest here. No one's going to make that gigantic paycheck. But I'm guessing it'll be decent money. And whatever you don't make there, I bet the Cameo and Twitch deals will be really, really handy at that point.
Yeah.
So they're putting people in this awkward position of, do they want to risk staying in a place where they're probably not getting pushed anyway, or a place where they are kind of getting pushed, but they can get that anywhere? Guys because Kevin Owens could leave tomorrow and he'd be fine. I of all the names on that list, I don't care what you do to Kevin Owens. He's going to land on his feet regardless of the company. He could absolutely go right back to ROH and make it the number 2 company again. He could. I'm saying, and I say that because I'm thinking of the places that are obviously could go, or the places he could just go and build a roster around him, and it would still work. He could go to Japan, not even touch New Japan, not touch Noah, not touch DDT, but go to All Japan and build them up. Go to Dragon Gate, build them up, and he would be absolutely fine. Kevin Owens has landed on his feet every single company he's been in, and no matter how much people don't like him, Jim Cornette, try to get him fired and get him shut down, the fans rally behind him because he's, first of all, that good, and he's that charismatic. Same thing with Eddie Kingston, which is why I'm so happy he was signed, because that guy knows how to land on his feet because he's just that charismatic. A lot of people that named him on and we joked. I don't know if we did it before we started recording, but we talked about if they, the New Day with Twitch and Cameo and all that. If you tell those 3 guys they can't do this after all the money they've made WWE, Kofi Mania probably made Vince $10 million off shirts alone, because every shirt that came out with Kofi's face on it, somebody bought. Didn't matter. WrestleMania probably had twice the numbers it was going to because Kofi had a title shot. No disrespect to Becky Lynch, no disrespect to Ronda Rousey, no disrespect to Charlotte Flair. They made history because they were the main event. Great for them. But I am positive more views happened because Kofi Kingston got on that show to finally get a world title shot. And if you screw over guys like him, guys like Xavier, guys like Big E, simply because they're making money elsewhere, if those 3 left as a unit, it doesn't matter where they go. They are going to be fine. They can go individually. They'd still be fine. But, this is a case of Vince still thinking he has the only foothold in the wrestling world. And unfortunately, the age of the internet has made that not true for him anymore. Because now it's easier to find stuff. It's easier to see where people go. And it's not like when people left before like the 90s, if they left and went to WCW, you have to actually like look and say, where are they? You have to like read the magazines, the dirt sheets, the tape traders. Now, where'd they go? Well, check their social media. The blue check mark is still there. Their name is just different.
Yeah, they're still official. And if the loophole is, obviously he claims to know on their real names. Now, change to the real name, you can't really attack them. They're not playing as their character on their channel. If they're being themselves, great. I think AJ Styles owns the trademark to his name anyway. He can do what he wants. So
I think he bought that like years and years ago. I think he's
so he can go anywhere with that.
Yeah, and the thing is though, even if you like try to make them like change it to just their real name, again, age of the internet. Everyone knows what their real names are. So it's not like Kevin Nash showed up as Kevin Nash in WCW. It was like, whoa, who's that? That's Diesel's real name? I didn't know that. No, everyone knows that now.
Yeah. So one interesting note here, PWI Insider has spoken to a number of talent with some planning to push back against WWE's edict if they are indeed required to shut down their personal streaming channels. So we'll see what happens. I mean, as this gets closer to the beginning of October, we'll keep an eye on it.
I wouldn't be surprised if WWE creates its own, hey, buy on the WWE website a message from our superstars, and basically just makes their own version of Cameo so they can get the money.
Yeah.
That or if the talent threatens to, but see, here's the thing though, if the talent threatens to walk in math, Vince won't have a choice.
Yeah, but I don't know if it'll be that in math. It'd be interesting to see. I don't know.
I don't think they'd be all for that, because what happens if they just suddenly get released because, well, we can't afford your contract because we paid Goldberg $40 million. Then you have to go build that back up on another channel all over again, Yeah. So, I mean, the talent is thinking in the future. They're thinking, what am I going to do when this is over?
Yeah, a lot of folks probably were thinking about that, especially with the whole releases that happened when COVID happened. Of course, the same things happened unnecessarily, if you ask me, but that's just still my opinion. Anyway,
if nothing else, I will say one final note on this. Kip Sabian's promo at All Out was awesome. Granted, the whole wedding, who's going to be his best man, that's the mystery of it. But the fact that he held up his Twitch channel, asked people to subscribe to be a part of it, and the message, this is endorsed by All Elite, approved and endorsed by All Elite Wrestling, was perfect.
Yeah.
And some people liked it as petty and this and that. No, it's hilarious. It's part of the times. This is Tim taking a subtle shot at it. You could argue NXT is slowly maybe moving to Tuesday because they don't feel they can compete with AEW on Wednesday. Who knows?
I gotta say this. Whenever AEW takes a shot at something WWE does, and marks on the internet want to get mad at it, I was like, I'm like this. Oh yeah, because WWF never did that to WCW, did they? There was not one time you can tell me that WWF didn't do that to WCW. Never happened, right? DX didn't literally drive a truck to their gate in Atlanta when they were filming on the same night, did they? Nope, never happened. Nope, you're right. AEW's in the wrong because WWF never did this. It's not just coming back full circle on them at all. No, you're right.
Well, let us know your thoughts out there about this. There's a lot to this controversy. Obviously, every week we'll probably get some more updates on it until that October 2nd guideline. But I personally don't see anybody backing off of this. Unless you're going to tell these people, I'll pay you benefits and then compensate you for it. There's just no way. So
there's no way.
Now we'll move into our 1 minute warning. Hello, everybody. Mike, you got something here?
You need to sing. Yeah. You need to sing "Say Goodbye to Yesterday" for Billy and Peyton, because I am actually with you on that one. I'll back you up.
It's not going to take a full minute, but I'm going to have to be interactive with my background. So you can start whenever you want. It'll be fine.
Whenever you're ready, set and go.
So I'm going to disappear here for a second and share with you one good thing. Cesaro has been SmackDown Tag Team Champion for 1 day. That's a good thing. One bad thing, Raw has not been iconic for 8 days. And that is sad, and that is unnecessary. And that's all I'm going to say. Sometimes wrestling does good things, sometimes wrestling does bad things. And next week on Raw, we're also getting Cesaro Nakamura versus the Street Profits, and supposedly that's to unify titles, so that should be fun.
Oh boy. So next week we'll find out if it's going to be a good thing and a bad thing,
Or a bad thing.
two bad things.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I had to get it in now.
Great presentation. I think we found a new segment.
Yeah, dude. Like he puts so much thought into that. Wait a minute, I don't fucking follow that.
I have no life. What can I say?
I immediately thought of the Animaniacs. It's time for another good idea, bad idea.
Yeah. So, if you ever watch Botchamania, they use that.
They do. Oh my god, I forgot they did.
He
that
does.
sometimes.
So like,
they do.
when there's like a botch on a move, he'll do a good thing, and then there'll be somebody hitting that move, and then the bad thing will be when when another person botches that same one. So
Oh man.
I wouldn't be surprised if this next one's gonna have a good thing, bad thing with like a successful shooting star press. And then
Oh yeah, you're right.
A bad thing.
That's gonna
That's
hurt.
I know. Yep, of course. Tommy, you got anything this week?
Actually, I don't think I do. The more I'm checking, it's like nothing's happening yet. By next week, I probably might, but we'll see. Actually, I think I'm good this week.
I will note something, Tommy, I thought you'd get excited about, but I don't know if you saw NXT today. I believe Kushida attacked the Velveteen Dream on NXT.
I did. I saw that
He
a little
did.
bit ago. I forgot about that, but yeah. But Kushida, Mr. Time Splitter. I love.
Yep.
I'm still so sad he's not in New Japan anymore. I think he'd have so much fun wrestling Takahashi still.
Mike's giving a thumbs up here. So.
You know.
I don't know if that'll come out of the recording. We'll find out.
I don't know. We'll see.
My 1 minute warning is kind of picking up on what we talked about with the whole third party thing and wrestlers trying to make extra money. This goes back to the whole full-time employee, independent contractor thing. And whenever we have this discussion, there's one person that always sticks out to me, and that's Roddy Piper. Old school wrestler in the heyday, independent contractors had to pay his own health insurance for all the injuries, for all the abuse his body took. And he famously once said, why would I want to stop doing this or worry about my future for how I'm going to live? I'm not going to live past 60. And sure enough, he died in his 60s, if even right before that. I can't remember his exact age. And that's one that always sticks out because we were set to meet him at a Comic-Con in San Antonio before he passed away. And that hurts, on our way to WrestleMania 32, Tina and I were in the car listening to his podcast he did with Ronda Rousey, and we just kind of teared up because, we could have met him. But that always sticks out to me is that when all this stuff, you've got to take care of your talent. Whether you treat them as independent contractors, if they're taking bumps for you, if they're taking abuse for you, if they're putting their bodies on the line for you, provide some damn health insurance. Pay them like full-time employees. And if you're not going to do that, you better give them an outlet to where they can earn money to pay for that kind of health care. Even if it's not a doctor you approve. Because let's face it, as great as doctors as you may have, you didn't treat CM Punk well, and they're not the experts in their field. You still got to look elsewhere for specialists and things like that. Allow these wrestlers to take care of themselves, because at a moment's notice, you can just let them go and they're screwed, and they need to be able to plan for the future. So,
Yeah, amen.
Yeah.
For us, our Twitter account at @CCG_WrestleCast. Subscribe here to the Countdown City Geeks YouTube channel. We thank everybody for watching and subscribing. Next week we'll be discussing the thing that starts arguments every year, the PWI 500. So
I was gonna say something so messed up.
yeah, but whenever this list comes out every year, it starts an internet war. Fans thinking someone should be here, someone should be there. We'll spend a whole episode talking about it, arguing amongst ourselves, and we'll see who decides to come on for this discussion as well, because it's a full list. I imagine we'll have the list in front of us. I haven't got the print magazine yet because I think they delay like a month, but the digital version's out. Check out the Pro Wrestling Illustrated website if you're interested in getting the full list, although it's probably all over the internet now as it is anyway. So But we'll go through what their criteria is, what we agree with, disagree with. There's probably gonna be a lot of discussion. It's always fun. So we'll definitely put a timer on us because this could go on for a while.
Yeah.
So thank you again, everybody, for watching. We will definitely see you next week. I'm joined this week by Mike.
Mike, be good to each other.
And Tommy.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
And I'm JC. And as always, heels and baby faces, remember, pro wrestling is real.
People are
fake.
Hey yo, subscribe to the channel by clicking right here.
Or if you want to watch more videos, click right here.